Well, to be honest, I wasn't gonna follow this horse. I wasn't gonna document, videotape anything about her previous state of mind and starting under saddle. But now that I've gotten to know this horse, and also now that I've gotten to think about the fact that she's a different breed that we haven't quite addressed in another video, I thought that I would just do a very short explanation. Hopefully that information would help somebody. So this is an Arabian mare, 18 years old, kill pen. Who knows what has happened, but she's very reactive, very scared, and because she's scared, she's aggressive. That's the gist of it. Everything is a no in a fight. And with a hot breed like that, you can't do your groundwork like with a quarter horse or pretty much any other horse, and kind of motivate them through the speed of their feet to get them to where something else is a better deal. Because an Arab would run all day, and the more they run, the hotter they get. And that's not just for this breed, but the Paso Finos and Tennessee Walkers, thoroughbred, certain lines of quarter horses that are bred to race, all those hotter breeds, you might come across this kind of dilemma. So this horse would run. That's not the problem. With her, to be successful, I had to work on slowing her feet down, actually. And also, my groundwork consisted of boundaries. Now, because she was aggressive, I had to lay some rules down. Like, you can't strike at me, bite me, or kick me just because I am asking you to not run me over. And I had to be very stern about those boundaries because it was my safety, but also it was her future on the line. And I wanted her to be safe and successful in her future. So the boundaries were, can you please gently move your feet when I ask you to step aside? So yielding. Can you also stop when I ask you to stop? Can you please yield your hindquarters and your forequarters when I ask you to? And when we're leading, can you be on either side of me and not run ahead of me, but stay either at my shoulder or behind me? And literally, these were the boundaries. Now, the saddling was wonky because the moment you even want to put the saddle on her, she was 90 miles an hour going to the next county over. She wouldn't actually settle and stop for me to put the saddle on. And we had to work on, when I put the saddle on you and I hold it in place the best I can, and I've taught you how to disengage your hindquarters, when you slow down and stop your feet, the saddle goes away from you. And that had to be repeated bajillion times until she now understands. She maybe would walk off a little bit, but for the most part, she understands that she needs to stop. That's what's expected. And eventually she stops and we saddle. And then before I ever got on her or even set foot in the stirrup, I had to ask her to see me from up on top of her from the fence and understand that this is a good spot, a safe spot. Nothing bad's going to happen to her there. In fact, I pulled out some pieces of carrot, and she's very fond of carrots, so it was an extra fun motivator for her to know this is a good place. Now, the funny part is she gets aggressive even about her treats, so she demands them. So it's a really fine line to walk, and you just have to have a feel of what to reward and what not to reward. So if I was to want to give her a carrot, but she bared her teeth at me to take it from me in a aggressive way, I would not give it to her right then, but I wouldn't constantly punish her for it either, because if I punish her, she's overreacting. So then I had to explain to her calmly, hey, I'm staying the same in my demeanor, but you're not going to get the carrot. And I would just block her. Literally, her head would come to me with her teeth, and I would just put my hand up like a boxer would, stop a punch from coming to their head. And she would bunk her own nose, and then she would know that that didn't feel very good. And then I would give the carrot to her and she would lick and chew and kind of think about that. So repetitive patterns of behavior is what she needs, the right behavior, right? Because she's had 18 years to learn something different that she thought was a good idea. And then it's kind of the same with me stepping in the stirrup. So another thing before I stepped in the stirrup was, I need you to flex, but I offered a carrot for her at that spot where the girth is, so that she understands that this is a good spot. She doesn't have to be aggressive or bite me, because she was actually very, very defensive on her right side. It's a really great accomplishment that she accepts me now on the right side. And she has a little ulcer in her eye, so I don't know what happened, but the right side was really problematic for her. And when she understood that she needed to flex, and this was a good spot, a safe spot, and also she needed to have her feet not moving when she flexed, I would give her a treat, and that would just establish it in her mind that, hey, this is what she wanted me to do. And then that translated to me stepping in the stirrup and expecting her to slow her feet down, and then she get release of me stepping down, giving her a treat. And so we repeated that a bunch of times before I actually got into the saddle, and I was careful to flex her on both sides and give her a carrot so she can understand that now I'm in a different position and she can see me from both sides all of a sudden. But I'm the same. My demeanor is encouraging. It's the same. I'm giving her carrots on both sides. And she could trust me with that. And she knows that if she was to spook or something, I would flex her. And that is still a safe spot. So from here on, it kind of goes the same. But the initial part was very different, because I couldn't do walk, trot, canter in a circle, change directions and all that to motivate her to stand still at all. She would run all day. So in fact, it was like her saying, I want to run, and I'm going to change directions all by myself and all that. And I needed to say, hey, can you please stop? Like, just stop and come to me, and I can scratch you, and maybe I don't even scratch you, because scratching is not rewarding for all horses. For her, that was too much in the beginning. So now she allows me to, and she finds some kind of pleasure in it. But in the beginning, all she wanted was to be left alone, because even scratching in a very gentle way was too much pressure. So she learned that she can just stand next to me, and I would do nothing and she would do nothing, and we would both exhale and breathe out and let our guard down and just be. So those moments are so important. That's the hard part for people to understand, that sometimes the best thing to do is to just be and do nothing and feel like, I'm a trainer, I have to do something I'm getting paid to do something, to move the horse, to do that. But sometimes it's the moment that you just spend your time with the horse and don't do much. And those are the ones that make the change, in addition to what you've done before. So you kind of have to balance it. And that just depends on the breed of the horse, but also the individual horse. I mean, when you think about dogs, a retriever would always go catch a ball or something they're going to fetch something to bring back to you. And a German Shepherd would not necessarily naturally know to do that. Or a Great Pyrenees, they're not going to go fetch something for you unless you teach them to do that. So in the same way, some things are just breed related, and you have to keep that in mind when you work with horses. So that's all I want to say, and I hope that this would give you a different kind of approach if you need it one day. And lastly, this is the very first time I ever got in the saddle. And usually I walk, trot, canter on the first ride. But this time with this horse, I felt it was better for me to just get in, stay in there for a moment, make her really sure about that this was a good thing, a good idea, make her secure in herself, and get off and let her think about that until the next ride. Also, right here, I don't care if she's eating. Actually, eating means that the horse is not scared out of their mind. If they're too anxious, they won't eat. So I don't care about this behavior. We will address this later. Also, I am satisfied with her just carrying me and not freaking out and checking in with me. As you can see, I am allowing her to make most of the decisions, but I'm also very aware that she could explode and do something silly. I don't think she'll bug, but just her bolting or something like that is possible. So I am very ready to catch her and assure her that she doesn't have to behave in that way. And again, I'm just super happy that she has me on her back, and that feels okay. And allowing a balance of her making her own decisions and me catching her if she makes the wrong decision is what I was after.
Good. You did so good. Yeah, you did so good. Okay, that's it.